12th. 1, 2. Yes, it works. This is good. Let's drop a beat. I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, everyone, want to come on over? We're going to go ahead and get started for the folks that are online on the Zoom portion. And we have some other people who I like 3 people message me that are coming. So they're going to be, I think the Utah wonderful weather got them, but we'll get the Zoom and we'll do virtual and we'll send this out. All right, come on down. So the way we'll complimentary. Come to the front row so when the people on the camera can see it, they'll be like, "Oh my goodness." Yeah. Like, I should have gone there in person, right? Rather than do it online. So on the mics here. Let's test the mics real quick, everyone. Just.
Hello. What's up?
Test.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
none of my team members here. It's like I'm in weather condition. All right. Yeah, Junior. Yeah. He and Kelsey coming. All right, everyone. Welcome out to our Utah sales meetup. We appreciate you all coming. And for those joining us on Zoom, we appreciate you all being here as well. So thank you. Please give us a round of applause for our amazing panel. We're going to introduce them in just 1 second. We want to put a big shout out for Skipio for putting this together and sponsoring this event. We're super grateful for them and for the wonderful mill. And if you have never been to the mill, you're missing out. So please come out and check it out. Our next event we're planning will probably be in April, as I'm looking at marketing folks. And I think it's somewhere around that point. However, please be on the lookout for some of that. And we're really, really excited. So thank you again, Skipio, for your sponsorship and for helping us out with this amazing event. We're grateful for all of you who showed up and for those who are participating here. Today, we're going to be talking about our sales stack and how we can be more effective with that sales stack and how we can take advantage of it so we can grow our business, especially those who are in sales leadership and sales professional roles. So without further ado, we have an amazing panelist line up here today, and we're going to go through and we're going to have them tell some lies about themselves and introduce themselves. I will tell some lies about them as well, but we're going to start off on the far right. We have Ryan Dotz here. We have Kaili Smith, and we have Kurt Mortensen. All of this, let's give them a round of applause one more time. All of these individuals are amazing in their right, and also we want to give it up for John Diaz and Nico, who just came in. So a big shout out for John Diaz and Nico Diaz. Without them, this wouldn't have happened. Just kidding. Nice. All right, so we'll just dive in. So why don't we go ahead and go down to the very end. Ryan, if you don't mind introducing yourself, talk to us a little bit more about what you do, and then we'll go down the line.
Sure. Well, thank you. It's great to be here, and thanks for coming out. You know, you had a choice. You didn't have to come, but you came. And now you're here, and thanks to everyone online. So Ryan Bott, I lead global revenue at Sodexo. Sodexo, anyone heard of Sodexo, by the way? Okay.
I did.
It's the 17th largest company in the world you've never heard of. It's close to 400,000 employees, headquartered in Paris, France. We're in 60 different countries. If you've ever eaten at a hospital, you know, whether you're staff or whether you're a patient, hopefully not a patient, that was probably our food. If you went to the Super Bowl in Miami, that was our food. That was our experience. We had the first female chef ever for a Super Bowl. We mostly prepare, we take the food from the truck, we prepare it, we serve the meals, and then we clean it, clean up after, and we do facility management, and we do a bunch of other things. We have an expense management app that you know, rivals Concur outside of the U.S., so it's one of the largest. But so that's who we are, and I lead global revenue, and been there for, gosh, what else do you want to know? I've been there for 4 years.
This is amazing. So the 17th largest company in the world that we never heard of. So that's pretty neat. So it's kind of like one of those companies, you know, they do so much in the background and we don't realize it. And without them, our life would fall apart. It's kind of like bees, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's equals bees. This is good. We're off to a good start. I like that. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, appreciate you being here. Kaili.
Okay, so I'm the marketing person on the panel. I've been in marketing for 10 plus years. I've also been over sales enablement and sales development representative. So I have a lot of experience with sales stacks and making sure that the handoff for marketing to sales goes well. I'm very passionate about that. I'm really into behavioral science. I've been head of marketing at B2B companies. I've been in the beauty industry. I've worked with Disney, Lucasfilms, Marvel. I'm currently at Job Nimbus. It's awesome. I actually left there and went back because it's such a great culture. And I'm basically, what do we need data on? What do we need to process in? And that's where I go. And it's a lot of fun. That's about it.
So now this is the most important question of the night. So when you say Marvel, were there any particular movies that you worked on?
Oh gosh, it was beauty collaboration stuff.
Okay.
So I was over the partnership between them as we were making beauty products using their characters and logos and things like that. So it was comic specific. We did like beauty products about the Thor movie, around Captain America. I really try to get a Loki wrap in there and they just didn't.
They didn't. I totally get it.
Totally missed opportunity. I'm not bitter about it. It's okay.
Fair enough. We'll send a word out for that as well. And then Kurt, how about you, sir?
My name's Kurt Mortensen. My company's Advanced Influence. So I'm an author, trainer, podcaster, university professor. So anything trading with influence, persuasion, persuasive presentations, charisma is my field as far as making people more persuasive. A lot of onboarding with the salespeople, helping them become more persuasive and close more sales.
So when I go for my presidential run, I'm gonna get some more training from you to help with my persuasiveness. Looking for, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm old enough yet. You have to be 35, right? That U.S. soil thing, we're trying to fix that, but I think Jamaica is a U.S. soil, right? Right, man? Yeah. Besides that, and my wife, she probably won't allow it. I try to persuade her with, I'm going to read the book again.
There we go.
So
you get your wife first.
Yes. She said you can stay
Congress
in business.
second to get it okay, and then we'll third 2020. Okay, 2022.
Yeah. Well, look, yeah, somewhere around there. Fair enough.
Let's do it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the sales stack. This is something that we've seen as like evolved. I remember when I first got involved in sales, the sales stack consisted of Salesforce and Outlook. And that was it. Like maybe there was something else, but that was like it. But it has evolved so much in so many different ways. I want to hear from you all, like, what are let's talk about like just in general, some of the basics of it, like to help people understand. How would you define, why do we need to have a robust sales stack? For folks who may be out there, they might say, I'm a traditionalist. I just like to have the basics. Start off with you, Ryan. Let's talk about that. Why do we need to have a decent sales stack for our company? Lowball here.
You use two words, decent and robust. Right? So those are different for me, and maybe for this crowd too. I mean, the question is, do we have to have a robust sales stack? I mean, do we? Because we're getting to that point where, well, we know this. We know SaaS is adopted at like 28%, 33%, somewhere in there. I mean, even Salesforce.com adoption isn't much higher than 40%. So, and this is meaning the capabilities that exist there, people just simply aren't utilizing. So do we, the question is, do we have to keep throwing more technology at it? And that's a debate that sort of rages on LinkedIn and others. You're like, what, do we need another tool? But I think if you what was the other word you described? You used
robust and decent and robust.
Yes, we need a decent sales stack. We do. I mean, if you think about it, people need to be more productive. Every year when you set quota, you set targets, right? And you're thinking of how do I grow the pipeline? You also need to be thinking about productivity. So I'm putting more into the pipeline, but then I'm also making sure that my people are more productive. And every year that there's a gear that sort of turns and you say, okay, I can add more quota per person per head, X amount. It's typically 10%. I can raise someone's quota every year simply off of one fact, they're more productive. So when you think about sales stack, you're trying to figure out how much more productive am I able to make someone, or how much more pipeline am I able to add in based off of the stack. That's how I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, what about you, Kaili? And I know there's a marketing side. You probably have some thoughts there.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Sales stack. I really feel there are a few tools I absolutely love, but The biggest issue I see, especially when I go from marketing to sales handoff, is this understanding of the strategy and the reasoning behind it. I know that if I'm giving an additional tool for an SDR or an AE to use, I have to eliminate 2 steps in their process to get them to use it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a so it's a playbook thing. Like if I actually put in the time and effort to see that this will work well for them, and I can explain it to them simply of this is what's going to make you more effective and why, they'll adopt it. It's a no-brainer, but you have to take the time to understand the sales process, how it works. And if you haven't taken the time to have a strategy, then yeah, it's just, oh, cool, here's a new shiny tool that marketing's making us use or a VP's making us use. And it's a waste of time for everyone, and it won't adopt and we'll cut it as a contract 6 months later. But when you actually take the time and effort to understand where it fits in your strategy, to actually make a sales stack strategy, it's 110% worth it and will make you more productive. The real thing with any software is getting buy-in from the right people. I can't go into a sales team saying, hey, you need to close my leads. I bought this thing for you. Congratulations. It's, hey, we're a team. Like revenue is our thing and we need each other's back. So here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm going to make your life easier. So we all win here. Like it comes in with a win-win mentality. So it really doesn't matter what the tool is. I say that there are great tools out there and there are crappy tools out there. But honestly, it's kind of like the people who are actually ready to lose weight. It doesn't matter what diet they use, they'll do great. It's when you have buy-in and you have a good, decent tool, whether it's robust or not, if you have buy-in, you're fine. If it's a good, solid tool and you're ready and everyone's bought in, you can have as big of a sales stack you want. It's just about making sure everyone's on the same page and has the right strategy.
Any ideas you have for this one, Kurt?
Yeah, I think, well, it's overused and abused. It's a great thing I've been sales manager and marketing and we geek out on the analytics and we love those things, but then you go train the salespeople or you onboard them and they're seasoned and new salespeople, their eyes roll back in their head and they're upset that they're confused. There's too much. Even your seasoned people, it's hurting some productivity and it's a challenge. I mean, you don't want to chop down. I mean, tools are great. You don't want to chop down a tree with a hammer. I mean, you could, but then we get to the point to where people are using dynamite, but then there's no tree left.
Yeah.
So you have to find that medium. And I agree. If you can, I think where a lot of companies are failing is they're not selling their salespeople on these tools. So they just use them. They don't know why. They're confused. They're overwhelmed. They don't see how the return on time to learn is going to help them in the long run. Salespeople are salespeople. They want to get in and get it done. And you add another tool, flavor of the day. Oh, great. Got to use this. Oh, it'll go away, will it? So then your sales manager's harping on it, your marketing, you got to learn it. It's, I mean, I see the productivity, but people are overwhelmed and an overwhelmed brain says no, a confused mind says no. And so we've got all these great tools, but then like this stick of dynamite, there's nothing left of the tree. Yeah. To where, just find a chainsaw, something in the middle. You're using a hammer.
You're very descriptive with these things. So my visionary mind now is like seeing somebody with a hammer and the dynamite and no trees left. So
you got the tree now, but there's no tree left. And so
I'm going to love making snippets of your part of this video on TikTok.
Yeah, don't use the dynamite.
So I want to go to this one. So how do we build a sales stack that the sales team will love? And Kaili, I'm going to throw this at your court because you started alluding to something with this and you mentioned the S word, strategy. Sorry, Nico, cover your ears.
S word.
But strategy, and I think sometimes we use it. So, we say sales and marketing need to work together and so forth. But how do we make this happen that we create the sales stack that people will love?
So I'm going to use an example from something I've done recently. I'm a huge believer in marketing and sales teams need to be best friends. So I'm going to go in and individual SDRs, I meet all of them. I'm like, hey, what can I do to make your life easier? And it's a low hanging fruit thing. These are people who are talking to the customers way more than I am. These are people who are talking to prospects, getting in the nitty gritty of our customers' pain points. This is a hard job. It's a constant rejection thing. So in order to build a strategy, one, the most important thing is really easy for me to go in and fix a couple small things in HubSpot to make their lives easier. So they know I've got their back and they know I want them to win. So when I do come with the strategy, like Facebook, for example, when you're getting a lot of golden leads through Google ads on your branded campaign, and then I'm asking you to grab someone that liked our download, I want you to call them. That's a hard ask. I'm asking you to do something harder for your job. But when I go in and say, hey, I need this to happen because of X, Y, and Z. I need to diversify our lead stuff. I want to figure this out. Here's what I'm doing to make your lives easier. Help me out here. This is the number I'm measuring. And to go in and personally praise them when it happens, that's the biggest part. When I can go in and explain, this is what I'm doing, here's why, here's how we both win from it. It's not a problem anymore. And they all know they can message me directly saying, hey, I'm having this issue. Can you fix this? And it can either be, hey, I can't, and here's why, or yeah, I'm on it. And the strategy is important because they know I'm not just asking them to waste their time or for my ego. I'm asking them because I'm trying to help the bottom line. I'm asking because I'm trying to help the company. So when we all have the same vision and I can explain to someone exactly why I'm doing something to help towards that vision, it makes it so much easier to make the strategy one, but also get everyone on board. Then you get the nitty gritty of like, hey, I want to increase opportunity rate by 10%. What do we need to do to make that happen? You know, then you can get nitty gritty, but you have to sell them on the vision and the goal on how it helps everyone and not just you in your job.
What are your thoughts on this, Ryan?
I was going to ask Kaili another question.
Oh gosh,
Go for
okay.
it.
Not to take your role.
No, this is good. Make my life
But
easier.
do you get buy-in when you try and get buy-in from the sales reps? Do you get them to demo? Do you pull off a couple of them and say, okay, I'm putting you on this project. You're one of our decision makers to make sure this product's going to work before we adopt it?
So I work directly with the leaders of sales initially, and I ask them for a couple guinea pigs. I actually have guinea pig stickers in my purse. So thanks for being the guinea pig. And so it's, you sell the leadership on it and they provide the guinea pigs basically, but I have a good enough relationship with whoever I need to. And one, it's great to know people and know your team has your back. I mean, I'm very horribly extrovert. I got like 98% on it on those extroversion tests. So it's fun for me anyway, but I work with the leadership one because they need to write it off, right? Like they're the decision makers. They're the one, I don't want to steal their team from them. That's rude. So it's, hey, this is what I'm doing. Here's why. Can I have a couple guinea pigs? And then they look at their bandwidth. They look if it hurt the strategies and provide a couple people to help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I think, it's interesting how you get buy-in. And when you have panels like this, we just speak from our experiences. So hopefully my experiences will resonate. I've been at small companies and some startups here, some fast-paced startups in the Bay Area, and then some huge companies like Sodexo. But so I don't know the mix here. I don't know what size of companies you're at, but getting adoption is critical. If you want the any sort of consistency, if you want the product to be used, if you want it ultimately to see what I think the outcomes are, which is increased pipeline, increased productivity. But typically what happens is you get sort of you get a set of vendors, you evaluate, you hear the first demo, you hear the first pitch, and then you rule it down to one or two and you do an A/B test. And I think that moment of who's in that test and who's doing it and what are the outcomes is just critical. I think that's where you get the buy-in. What's interesting, we have, our company's huge. We've got thousands of salespeople, and getting them on board around a tool comes from sort of two things. One, did they buy in early? Were they in early on the process? And two, is their manager completely involved? That's what I would boil it down to, because if their manager doesn't care, they don't really care.
Yeah. I think that's a critical part. And I think in so many different ways, even on my side of the line, where we do sales, education or training enablement, you find if I don't have a leadership a part of the training, then I know I was like, oh, this one is going to suck. It's not going to improve my numbers, because when the sellers can have a knowledge and know how to use it, but sellers are in 6-7 months, they may not be on their team or go to a different department or whatever. And you need to have the leadership kind of to help lead that. So it's really good. I appreciate that. And so going back to the same idea though, so we're getting leadership involved, we're getting the buy-in, but how long when do you make a decision that a tool is not worthy to be in the stack? When does that come? Because I have seen it where it's we spent too much money on this, so we're going to keep it.
Right. Yeah. Right. At some point you have to agree you've had sunk costs. Yeah. And you move on. But that's it's a great question. When do you move on? You're making me think right now.
I know.
10 technologies. I'm like, oh, we should cancel that one. Nobody uses it. No, but really, I'm pulling stats on global technologies that we have, and I won't name names, but the usage is terrible.
Yeah.
And you sort of wonder, okay, why did we get this?
Yeah.
And is it time to pull the plug, even though we're under contract? maybe it's better to actually get out of the contract.
Yeah.
But we've probably only done that once. We've probably only terminated a contract early once because we just said not worth it.
Yeah.
When someone on your team is not spiteful enough to prove you wrong.
Ooh.
I know that sounds so weird and it sounds like I'm very aggressive and I promise I'm not. But I have had really great success with tools that have never been touched because I was like, I think this will work. I'm like, okay, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You have a month. Prove me wrong. And sometimes they can't. And they're like, okay, you were right. It didn't work. But other times they've turned it around. So
Yeah.
honestly, when no one cares to make it work anymore, cut it. But if someone wants to give it a shot, I give them a timeline. It's like, hey, if you really think it'll work, I need to see it work by this time.
Yeah.
And watch that creativity kick in. It's been really cool.
But it is true. So sorry, I'm going to jump in. Yeah, we're gonna let you talk eventually at some point. 8:30.
See, Kurt knows what he's doing. He's persuasive enough to let you all do the work.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but I mean, isn't it that's how salespeople are wired too? Right. I mean, we all know this, and those of you who are salespeople, and I'm a salesperson. I mean, I lead teams now. I've been both, but we say, oh, we know what's going to work. And then we go over to marketing. We're like, well, if you only had this tool, and we stand up at our QBR and we're like, yeah, actually, you know what? I really need to hit the number. I need this tool. And we really don't do the homework.
Yeah.
We don't really think deeply about what that even means, what the cost of it is, how it would be adopted. Does it actually really help me build my pipeline? Does it help me be more productive? So salespeople do chase tennis balls. You know, we are squirrel, and we kind of want the shiny object.
Yeah. Kurt.
Okay. I keep thinking, you look at marketing, 80% of products fail because the companies decide this is what the consumer wants. And
Yeah.
You got to go back to the sales forces. Do they really want it? And when upper management or another department says, you need this. And, I do a lot of training consultants, and there's a lot of venom and meanness with the flavor of the day and the new stack and the new software. And you have to learn this. Even with onboarding, it's so confusing. It's so overwhelming. I mean, we need these tools, but they're forced. You need to have this. There's no choice. And unless you have the sales manager in the room during the training that has the buy-in, which we mentioned, that's huge. You have to have someone on the team that's using it, making more money with it, that can show the team that they're doing it. We're just forcing this on people, just like companies are forcing products. You're going to like this. I'm like, we don't. No, you do. You're going to buy. I don't want, you're buying it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing a lot of times. And that's why products fail. That's why salespeople aren't happy, is that they're forced. So that was we need to have the sales manager in the room to have the buy-in, but too many times, like it's mentioned, oh, geez, flavor day, another thing to learn. And when you have a sales stack of 10 different things that you have to do, it's not what salespeople want to do. They want to excel, make money, and then all of a sudden, and so unless you've persuaded the persuader, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of time we just force it on them, and we're not using our own sales techniques to sell the salesperson that this is going to change your life. It's going to save you time. It's going to make you more money. What's in it for them?
I really like what was shared. I think it was Kaili and Ryan when you guys were talking about it over there. It should be, I think, like sometimes, shoemaker kids have the worst shoes. Like, you ever heard that statement? Like, it's just, I feel like we don't use the right sales strategy internal to be able to help the organization. And if in some of the companies I've worked for, when they're changing like an enterprise deal, getting a software, it was first, let's test it on a couple of departments before we roll it out to everyone. And I think that's probably like one of the things we probably could start adopting. We want to get the whole organization to get that deal, to get, say if it's going to be Gong, let's put Gong out there. Everyone, we're going to get all this, all the license for Gong, but does it make sense to say, well, let's do 6 months with XYZ committee, with this department or with this market, and see what it's like. And then if it makes sense, we can roll this out throughout the org. Thoughts, feelings on that?
Oh, this is marketing to your own team. It's like, are you really special enough to test this out for me? Like, it's
Good sales team. Salespeople, right?
well, but that's the thing, and it's so. I wish I could plaster this everywhere. If you know someone's pain point, it's really easy to sell.
Yeah.
If I could go to a sales rep and they're like, "Oh man, this is great, but it's really hard for me to get them to answer the phone." Hey, guess what? I did this research and I'm doing this, and I want to test this thing to help our customers pick up the phone. you want to try it? Then they're like, oh yeah, that's the problem I told you about. Like, it's not a hard sell at that point. It's what pain point are you addressing internally? It's just like, you're in sales, you teach this, find the pain point, find the thing that's important to them and make it better. So even if it doesn't work, or it's like, okay, that wasn't the right tool you relearned. One, you have buy-in early on, but two, you're showing, I understand what you're needing and I'm going to fulfill that need. And that's really what it's about internally and externally. That's what we're doing for our customers. Hey, you have a need and I've got something to help you out.
Yeah.
When we're just sharing, here's our product, software is very guilty of this. You go to any website, it's like, here's this feature we have, here's this feature we have, here's this feature we have. All my tests are saying pain point messaging, not even talking about our features once, has way higher conversion. It's because we're addressing what they need. Same thing internally with Teams and any tool you add. Does it address your pain point that I took the time to understand? And if it does, it's easy.
I'm thinking about big company, small company.
Sure.
Small company, I'm just thinking back. I had a team here, 20 of us. It was easy to say, hey, Bryce, hey, Jenna, I need you to test this. We're going to see if this works. And we had a team meeting about it because everyone had they come to the QBR with a laundry list of things they need. They say, oh, this is what I need. If I really had this, I'd hit my number. And you're like, okay. So you take the list down and then you evaluate. And we had a team meeting about it. So here are the 5 technologies we want to try that you've all said we need to try. Let's go out and go out and test them. That was easy. At bigger companies, it's way more complex because you don't have centralized budgets. I mean, we're in 58 countries. I don't have a sales budget across the world. What I have are a matrix organization of, well, if I kind of borrow from healthcare, if I kind of borrow from, the government services team, I could probably get enough to buy a LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? No, but I mean, seriously, like I have to, and so you get one little team to try it. And then, I'll tell you interestingly, Sodexo, the only technology that we have adopted almost in mass, and I say even that because only 70% of the companies using it, is Salesforce.
Yeah.
I have 0 technologies are across the entire company. I have pockets of sales enablement here and there. I have pockets of content here and there. I have pockets of, cadence tools here and there. And that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because I don't have experience in a very large company. So this is really interesting for me. So when you are looking at the needs as a whole, are you looking, well, I guess that's the question. Are you looking as the sales needs as a whole? Or are you looking at individual teams and just kind of going from there? I'm just curious what the mindset is when you're looking at tools. Is it, okay, I'm focused on this country or I'm focused on this quadrant or whatever it is?
Yeah, our business is, all large companies are highly matrix. So it's interesting. You have to think about this stuff constantly, which is how do you enable productivity and how do you enable growth across the entire company, but how do you do it specifically for a team? And so, these teams have leaders and we spend a lot of time, we prepare we'll call it the growth objectives. And it's basically 12 slides and we give a sort of a top-down approach and a bottoms-up approach every year. And we present, here's the sales stack, here's the reasons why you should be using these technologies. And it's very persuasive to trying to get them to use it. And then what we do, of course, every day is we're monitoring Salesforce to say, wow, this team over here doesn't really have a lot of pipeline. So we'll phone in and say, maybe you ought to think about using some of these pipeline tools that we've mentioned before. So it's kind of both. I hope that answered it.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Kurt?
Oh, Kurt's still here?
I'm over here. No, I'm with you. I know as a trainer consulting, you go into these companies and you just have to remind them, you guys are on the same team.
Yeah.
Right. You have all these departments, marketing with, working with sales and upper management, telling them what to do. And this is the new software of the day. And this is going to be good for you when we need to go bottoms up. Just like ask the consumer what they want, ask the salespeople want, get to buy them, ask their advice. But it's almost like, well, they're separate. They're warring with each other. It's like, you're on the same team. You're on the same company. You both want to profit and grow the company. And that's a huge challenge to get that buy-in to persuade them to do it. And that's one of the big challenges because right now they're seeing them as the enemy, another thing to learn. Like I mentioned, flavor of the day. That's a big thing that I hear out there. So we got to be careful on how we introduce it to them and persuade our own people. Persuade our persuaders.
I'm not gonna lie. I think sometimes I feel like running an organization. I feel like it's like collecting Pokemon cards because I'm like, man, look at that demo. Dang, that software looks so cool. How can we use that? Or man, I want to try that thing. You know, I mean, we go demo something new, and then it's like it takes like 6 months to get something adopted and get in, roll in. And we're not even a big company, but so you have that issue. But I'm thinking about like going back to the old days. You know, back in my days, I used to use Act way back in the days. But what are the necessities? Let's look past some of the things that are like really nice. But would you say are the necessities for a team when it comes towards their the sales stack? Sales stack. I'm gonna start with you, Kurt, because you do a lot of consulting, and then I want you all to think about it. Like Ryan's probably looking at the data in his head right now, like analyzing the CR, the tools in their stack, and you probably can optimize it and say these are the essential one. And I know everyone's gonna probably say like a CRM or Salesforce, so that's probably a given. But besides that, anything else that you feel needs to be in a sales stack, a modern sales stack? Right now,
Computer. I mean, you have to have Zoom and a computer and a phone, obviously, but we're getting so. My worries as you talk to people, we get so the technology and the training and the onboarding, we're missing out on the personal development, the sales skills, building them up to the point where they're able to sell. We have all this technology, doesn't mean they can sell.
And see, I think that's an interesting part. The point as well is like, are we some of the challenges that we see? Are we throwing a Band-Aid at it, or are we trying to solve the problem? You know, I mean, can we mask it for so long? Like, say, for instance, if it comes down to, I don't know, let's auto dialer. Like, I don't know. Is it really that the person needs to have an auto dialer, or is it the belief that this person have that I don't need to use the phone? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, like how you can start figuring some of this stuff out. I'm going on a different path with it, but we can come back to that one. You just got a thought in my mind, and Ryan's getting all excited over there now. He's like, Donald, I got something for that.
Yeah, I mean, we put a Band-Aid on it. Oh, we'll get an auto dialer. We'll do this. We'll be more productive. Then bottom line is we're missing out on the personal development and the sales skills and enhancing them to where software is not going to necessarily make them a better closer. I mean, it's going to make it more productive if they use it the right way. But a lot of times we just get so focused on that tech. Oh, let's use Zoom, but they don't use Zoom, and their eye contact's off, and they're not closing. They're not asking for the sale. They don't know how to persuade under the radar. Then we're missing out on that side. You know, I'm biased as a trainer, but there's something that's missing there where we're going tech, Band-Aid, tech versus working on the person, working on those sales skills, working on the mindset, the things that make a great salesperson. Yeah, that's going to make a great salesperson, not another piece of software.
Cool. All right, Ryan, what should be in our stacking, and comment on that?
Yeah. I mean, but there's a question ahead of that question.
I know,
right? Which is what? Well, do you know? I mean, but this is the one that goes on LinkedIn a lot, and that is, do we need salespeople? And what's the value of salespeople, right? And so, I mean, not to go there, but I'm going to go there.
Why are you going there, man? I need money, bro.
Yeah, I know exactly. No, I don't
All
want
the
to
sales
go away
people are
either.
leaving the room now. Just
But I mean, the latest McKinsey report on e-commerce is really, really insightful. And we're going now from, it was like 15% pre-pandemic said they would buy something over $500,000 on e-commerce. And now it's 38%. So, I mean, you've almost doubled the population of people that would spend $500,000 without interacting. I mean, I don't know if that's truly without interacting, but it's a very minimal amount of interaction from people. And you say, okay, where does that trend end up? Yeah. And then you ask yourself, so what does the tech stack actually need to be? Because if what we're doing is we're giving people technology to keep up on a funnel that no longer exists and to keep up on a process that is going away, then why are we spending the money on that? Why are we buying those tools? Because maybe what we ought to be thinking of is, well, the future is, let's invest more. I'd take those dollars and I'd put them into e-commerce, and I'd let my sellers be either the last mile, right? So think Amazon. So they have the last mile deliverers now. That's all surged. So think about the last mile. Do I have my enterprise? Do I have some sort of seller in that last mile? What's the stack that they would need? And then rethink, okay, but if people really are, well, I mean, what could we put into e-commerce that almost would get rid of an outreach or a sales loft? I mean, I'm being serious though, right?
Yeah.
And I love outreach and sales off. So
Hi, Kyle.
hi, Kyle.
Congrats on NASDAQ.
Yeah. Right, Manny, Kyle, hi there. No, I mean, I do. I love and good friends of mine. But I mean, that's the question. I think ultimately we have to get ahead of that question.
Yeah.
And anyway, I can answer your other question too, by the way.
Yeah,
But
please go for that one.
I'll come back. Let's let
We'll
Kaili
come back.
talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Let Kaili talk.
Oh, after that, I can just leave. That's fine.
Yeah, we're done. There's no more.
Okay, well, no one's buying anything. Everything's done. No, I'm kidding. I really think it depends on the level that you're at. Like when you're in small startup mode, it's your email, your phone, your computer, it's your personal phone number, like it's your text messages. It's basically whatever way you can communicate with the customer, that's what you need. And
Since I'm a podcaster and you said that I have to put an ad right now, if you're considering text message, consider Skipio. You can find more information by go to skipio.com. Use promo code TSE. That's promo code TSE.
All right, good plug.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I like it.
hey, I've used Skipio. I'm a fan. I'll
Back to our show.
But yeah, it's kind of this, but as you get bigger, you talk about CRM, you talk about having to keep track, having got accountability as your team gets bigger and bigger, like making sure that everything's organized and processed because legal and finance are going to breathe down your neck. It just, it depends on what level you're at, what exactly you need. But like I said at the beginning, it's kind of like when you finally decide to lose weight, it doesn't matter what diet you choose, it's going to work. It's when you hit the problem, you've hit the person, it works because they're finding a way to engage. They're finding a way to connect. We went from a no-touch sales process to a high-touch sales process, and it made all the difference for our customers and for our industry because it worked. But there are other companies where that doesn't work at all. E-commerce is where it's at. So it really depends on what kind of relationships you build, how your customers prefer talking to you. One of the questions I like to ask on some of my lead forms now is, hey, how do you prefer to be contacted? Email, text, or phone?
Mhm.
And it's been really insightful to see. And some people will just type in person, like it just is.
Person.
So it really kind of depends. And this is where you get to know your audience. Your sales stack should evolve around what your customer needs you to address.
Yeah.
And it should evolve around how your salespeople can best enable to build those relationships with those customers. And that is going to be different for every single company. And it may be a very similar sales stack, but they're going to be using it in different ways because if they know how to engage, if your sales guys know how to engage with your customers, they'll be fine with whatever you give them. But when you build your sales stack around that, you've now increased productivity. You've now increased the ability to.
I honestly, this is the comment of the night right here.
Yeah.
I think because think about it. It doesn't matter what we think our process should be. It doesn't. It actually matters what the customer experience is. The minute we can start to truly shift and almost secret shop ourselves and say, what does the customer want? What's the experience that the customer wants? And then build the stack around that. Because today we're throwing Band-Aids at, I don't know, scraped knees. And we're saying, okay, but we need another Band-Aid. But what are we really trying to fix? And I think that, it's super insightful. We got to go figure out the customer experience, then add the stack on top of that.
Yeah, I agree. So you're persuade people how they want to be persuaded. You're asking them, how do we be contacted? Even with Zoom, as you get younger, people love Zoom, but as you get older, they don't like Zoom. They're not used to seeing their face or talking to other people. And so if we can adapt and persuade them how to persuade them, sell them how they want to be sold. And I agree, the sales process is going to change. The need for salespeople is going to change depending on the product. In the past, your salesperson had to go from A to Z. Here's the company, here's the product. And now with the internet and the information age, they might be starting at M with your salespeople. They might start at Z, the final close. They might not need them at all.
Yeah.
But the more we can adapt to the consumer, find out what they want, because some people are text people, some people are email people, some people are phone people, some are Zoom people. And if we can adapt to that and train our salespeople to do that within the stack, that makes all the difference in the world.
So can we go for the future real quick? You guys want to go to the future? So check this out. I'm getting excited because I was on an hour-long call. This with HubSpot's. They have a revenue generated club or whatnot, and it was really, really neat. But one of the things that you triggered here, Kaili, just thinking about this, are there tools out there that can automatically trigger, I'm sure there is, but trigger a process based on user need? Think about that. Imagine if I'm a salesperson, I don't know, I'm just going out there. Marketing gets this lead, comes in. this person says, yeah, I want to talk to human. So we go through this route and it automatically takes care of that. Donald, here you go. Then another one's like, yeah, I want to get a demo from somebody, or I want to view a virtual demo first before I go through in the process, and then it kicks it off and go through that process. And somebody's monitoring it, but it's not, you're not letting this rail just goes off by itself. You're monitoring, seeing what's happened, but then the human can come in at a certain part of it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that happens or if that exists, or we have a, hodgepodge with like Marketo or whatever's out there, but like, think about that. Like, that would be super cool. Am I, thoughts, feelings?
I have a lot of patch jobs on HubSpot workflows.
See, yeah, it's like you're patching stuff, but I don't know, just a thought that came with. I don't know if there's a question in there, but the future one that I'm thinking about is, and I think Domo probably will do this, and if they don't, I thought about it, and if anybody want to throw some money at it, I want to fix it. Here's what I saw. I was with the clients that I work with, the adoption of, and I've said this 3 times on like a podcast, so somebody's going to steal it. But again, I would be willing to get a VC to help us out with some money on it. But I feel like Domo did something really neat when it came to business in general. However, going to the future, I have given, and I got annoyed today at the hotel. The names start with a W. They're in Vegas, and with the N. So, but I called downstairs and they're like, can you verify? There wasn't a verification. They were asking me information over and over again. And I'm like, bro, I've given you so much of my data. You should know stuff about me to make my process easier. Just solve my problem rather than, is it, Mr. Kelly, can you verify this? No, we already know who it is. Just give me the stuff. And I feel we give so much data we give so much approval to software companies and give our information out there. But I don't feel that many of the tech companies are using it properly because the softwares are not communicating properly to each other. I think they sync, they integrate, but let's say, for instance, imagine if there's a central source that tells me Donald makes, X amount of calls, his success rate with Zoom or conversion rate is success to land an appointment this is his formula. He does great with phone calls, and because of the phone calls, we analyze that against his email, to analyze his email against how his videos that he used, against his LinkedIn data that he has. Like that, imagine if you can get all that data about your usage and just tells you as a sales rep, bro, this is the best path for you to perform, based on what we've collected from your email open rates and from the stuff, I'm talking about like that. And I feel that next generation of data is important if we're going to really take advantage of sales stack before we eliminate salespeople. Thoughts, feelings, question? Am I spoken?
Okay. So I'm actually very, very passionate about this.
Yeah.
And hence the patch jobs in HubSpot. So one big thing, because, I'm, like I said, prove me wrong out of spite. I'm a very spiteful person. When I'm told like, well, that won't work, I'm like, watch me. So I kept getting feedback on like, oh, Facebook's just too low of a win rate. And that's industry standard across the board. Facebook's people are running into it. I was like, no, I can get it up. And one thing I noticed, we had all this really valuable data, not just on what, and if you use HubSpot, this, you can ask whatever the crap you want. You can make custom fields and it's all really cool. But I could see a lot more than the salespeople were seeing. And I didn't know that till I went and talked to them. They're like, well, I don't know that. I'm like, what do you mean? It's right here.
Yeah.
So I created an automation where I have it in their task. Like, here's their qualifying call task. Here's all the information you need. Here's the ad they came on. Here's what, this is what they engage with. Here's what they put as a preferred method of communication. And my opportunity, and then it worked so well. We applied it to all our paid ads because that's what I'm over for Google. And our opportunity rate's gone up 8% in 1 month. And that's the thing. The data is there. I think learning how to utilize it is a buy-in from multiple departments. Like, we're on the same team, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to see HubSpot, Domo, business intelligence in general, Marketo, and whatever you use, whatever tool you're using, the data is there. We just have to learn to finagle it for now. But I think it, like you said, I think it will become part of the process and part of workflows, part of playbooks, that kind of thing. It's all there. It's just learning how to use it and how to put it in front of the right person at the right time.
Speaking about Marvel, it reminds. I think when I create that software, what's the big bad guy Marvel? End of all. I'm gonna call that software Thanos. Like, it's gonna be like everything in one.
I have a transition.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think that's now you're asking the question though, is that one of the requirements?
Yeah.
For building a stack that's successful? And is that, I mean, is the requirement that I've got to have people that actually can run this and invest in it? So, I mean, there's a cost that we say, and typically we look at license cost.
Yeah.
So I'm buying a CRM and I'm looking at license cost, but what I really need to be thinking about is license cost plus success cost of development of putting this behind the scenes with integration, automation, and intelligence. I would say those three things: integration, intelligence, automation. If you can get that successful, then your stack is actually working. It's such a great point because I mean, I just don't know. I mean, way too often. In fact, we do know all the technologies we've rolled out, and they sort of sit there.
Yeah.
We didn't invest the time to integrate. We didn't invest the time to automate. We didn't make them intelligent. I don't know. I mean, but to your question, what does that look like in the future? There are companies that are doing. They're starting to get there. From a consumer side, I mean, we all consume apps every day. We consume all the products every day that are around us. And I mean, the one place that continually gets it for me is Delta and the Delta app. And I know what they've done behind the scenes, and they've invested a ton to make that feel like they know me.
Yeah.
But that's one app. I mean, we've all got our apps, but that's one for me that totally gets it. Every time I open, I'm like, oh, and when I call in, they know, oh, hey, welcome back, Ryan. And they know where to put me in the queue. And hey, we noticed you sat in a window last time. Do you want to sit in a window again? I mean, the intelligence is there.
Love it. Kurt,
we mentioned the Delta app, right? And the amount of data out there, it's simple. It just tells you what you need to know. It's a very simple app. They could add so much to that. And I think that's true. What we need to do with a lot of these stacks is here are the top 5 things you need to know to make sure you're the top salesperson, that you're going to meet your quota, instead of, here are the 112 criteria. This is the time. What are the top 5? What are the maybe top 10 things that people know? Just like give the Delta. It's so simple. Couple buttons here, get your seat, you do this. Only what you need. I think we love the data. People geek out on the data, and it's good. Yeah. But we got to simplify it. Salespeople, we're a unique breed. We don't want all that data. Just what is our top 5 of the things that we need to know to make sure that I'm going to meet my quota this month? Yeah, exactly. Oh, so good, man. I wish we could stay for like another hour and then pick your brains, you genius folks. You want to respect your time, but we're going to also go to get some folks from the audience, some of the questions that you all have regarding sales stack, or you probably got so excited with some of the things we're talking about. Anything that jumped out to you, any questions that you all have, and I'll come out to you. So any questions about the sales stack? Great ideas. Bianca's like, what was...
Oh, no, I don't. I just honestly, like,
sing us a song then.
So often we assume people want to be communicated a certain way, and just asking them, how do you want me to communicate with? Do you want a phone call? Do you want a text? Do you want an email? It was because you'll most likely get a response if you communicate to them in the way they wish to be communicated. And then you think, oh my goodness, I love the tasks so that the sales team can see this ad, this was the copy, this is the offer. So there's context when they're getting on the phone with the lead.
Very good. So I have a thought before you guys go to online. When you mentioned that, I was going to mention what Bianca did, that we just have to ask them, right? It's that simple. In some ways it is. But that resonated with me as a salesperson, that's how we should ask them about how they want to be treated through the sales process. And so that's a good reminder. And I think I've done that by accident sometimes, but probably a good reminder that when you're telling them, hey, this is the product that I want to show you that'll solve the pain or the need that you have, to Kaili's point. And if this works, what's the best way to walk through this with you? How do you guys want to be communicated with and treated? Like, would you like me to come in face-to-face once a week? Should we do this with more people? That's a really great reminder that I'm going to implement and see how it goes. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know.
Do.
You see, now I have another idea before we jump to the online questions.
Sorry, online people.
Online people, you got to wait. So all of these, probably my wife asking some of the questions. What time's your flight? Look at a Delta app.
Pull up your app.
But no, think about it like, imagine on a website, just hear me out. We're rebuilding our website. So I'm working with the marketing and SEO folks and all this stuff. But imagine on a website, if you had a simple video that shows the path to acquisition. 65% of the population are visual people. And one of the things that we talk about in our sales process is visualize the sales process. So if I'm talking with a prospect, let them know from the very beginning, like project management does it. Like, here's what's going to take to finish this project. So the acquisition of the software, like if you want to become, if you, give them like, choose your own path to the client on a website. Here's a quick little video. If you want to go with a path with working with a team member, this is what it looks like. A path with like you do it all by yourself, this is what it looked like. Or if a path with a combination of the both, which one do you want? You know what I mean?
I've done
Choose
that
your
with
own
the
journey.
client. It works well.
You've done that.
Yeah, but then you had to learn like, okay, they said this, but then they didn't engage
Yeah.
with us at all after that. So we're sending them a personalized video now. So you just, yeah. Do
Oh,
that.
that's
It's
so
great.
cool. All right. Well, we'll stop geeking on that. Online questions.
So this is one maybe for another day. It's a pretty big topic. So
Uh-oh.
what is the most difficult obstacle in marketing and sales? How to overcome it?
Holy moly. What is the
Here, I
most
have
difficult obstacle in marketing and sales
Yes.
and how to overcome it?
I got it.
So come back in April as we tackle. Go ahead real quick.
Well, I think we've been talking about it to start selling people how they like to be sold. Our default setting is always to sell people or persuade people how we like to be persuaded. We present how we like to be presented to. And if we can adapt to the consumer, find out what they want, use their data in the right way, we can sell them how they want to be sold. Some are texting people, some are email. That is, I see the huge blunder, and getting not only more sales tools, but other tools to help you out. But we have to adapt to the consumer. It's changing. The internet's changing. People are changing to where we have to adapt to that and not assume what we like. Oh, I'm a texter. That's what they like. I love Zoom. Maybe they don't. And so that's what I see. One of the biggest challenges is adapting to the person.
Love it.
No one cares
I like
about
that.
you. Just
Dang
like
it.
you keep, and I do this by default. It's just the thing is like, look how cool I am. No one cares. Everyone's worried about how cool they look. It just is what it is. There's a great book called Marketing to Mind States by William Leach. And he goes into these 16 personalities and the deeper emotional motivations to buying certain products. And it's refreshing to have to take a deep breath and step like, oh, this isn't working. Is it because I'm trying to market to me or because I'm trying to market to you? And it's like you have to look at your website and tell me, are you addressing a pain point first? Or are you showing a feature?
Yeah.
And just look at that, because you can do both at the same time. You can show the pain point and show the cool video you made, show the cool content your copywriter wrote. But like, look, am I just talking about me on my page, or am I talking about how I'm helping you? Because I'm going to look at it when I look to buy something, I'm like, okay, how is this going to help me look better at my job? How is this going to help me do something for my family? Again, depends on what I'm buying. But yeah, just like what we've talked about, it's look, are you just talking about you, or are you showing people what you can do for them?
You know, Ryan, my mentor on this, so Bill Weiniger. So he taught us that principle. He's called it the platinum rule. Treat others the way that they want to be treated. It's a great way to persuade, huh, Kurt?
Yeah, no, it's so true. People have an expectation, and when we miss the expectation, it sets them off. This is why when you go to Disneyland and you see the signs they say, 30-minute expected wait time from this point, because they're setting expectations and they're managing your expectations, and people come into our buying cycles expecting a certain thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. To ask the question, what's the biggest problem? I think a little more esoterically. I think, okay, well, honestly, I don't know how much of what we do is altruistic. And that's an interesting thing to think about, which we can't get into because we don't have a lot of time left. But I mean, most of us are funded through private equity and VCs, and there's a growth expectation on all of this. And there's a CAC behind all of it, customer acquisition costs. And we can only have so much CAC to fit within the model, to fit within the parameters of SaaS for a high growth return for what? All right. Yeah. And so it is interesting where we are in sort of the bigger picture of what are we doing in sales and marketing, and how do we truly create an experience, and maybe even rethink of our products. Do we really offer products and services that people want, that they actually need, they're improving humankind?
Yeah.
So sorry to go big on that one, but there we are.
We had one more thing to that too. I think one of the challenges too is that, according to Advertising Age magazine, we're hit with 5,000 or more persuasive messages a day. So we become numb. So I think our processes need to be more to help people persuade themselves, lead them down that process, because the moment they sense we're going to try to sell them, persuade them, they're going to resist us.
Yeah.
Trust is at an all-time low. People are more skeptical than ever before. And if we can change our processes to help them persuade themselves, I think that'll be a big shift in the future. It will be a big shift in the future.
Ooh, I like. Is that the next book?
The next
Persuade
one
themselves.
coming
Teach them how to
out
persuade
April of.
themselves. Any more online questions?
Yeah, this one is, I'll read it word for word.
Uh-oh.
I'm in a unique situation of starting fresh and I'm building a sales stack from scratch. I have no real hangups except for maybe cost, but I can test things out for a small group of people. What would you suggest to get started?
Oh, gosh.
Like what technology do you think they're asking?
Doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Yes.
CRM.
Yes. CRM.
CRM.
Yeah, I mean, CRM's basic. You have to be able to just profile a customer, understand prospects and customers. That's basic. I mean, there's a number of marketing automations. I love HubSpot. So I think it's excellent for small companies or small teams. I'm a big fan of conversation intelligence. The question you asked earlier that said, oh, what would you boil it down to? I mean, conversation intelligence to me is just a game changer. The salespeople don't love Gong and Chorus, but just start here, for example, start with them listening to themselves. I'm not going to involve a manager. I'm not even going to listen to the calls. I need you to listen to your first 20 calls and you tell me what you think. The minute someone listens to themselves, the ahas and the bells go off and they're like, wow, you're right. I'm talking 92% of the time. Even though you've told me at every QBR, I still do it. And once they hear themselves, they say, wow. So I'm a big fan of conversation intelligence. Those are 3 I'd start with.
Okay. Kurt, Kaili?
CRM, you just got to put out the fires if the money's slim, the CRM, some of the basics start with the freebies. But you're right, when you're training salespeople, if I'm training a presenter, when they watch the video of their presentation, that is much more revealing than anything that I can say. And so any type of recording or training you can do, but you start with the CRMs, you got to get your Zooms and your autoresponders and a few other things to get things started. But if money's an issue, you just got to slowly stack it up. I mean, you could really start with a phone and 3x5 cards. I mean, really, if you have good salespeople, I mean, that's not the best way to do it, but then you can just build from there.
One of the thoughts that came to mind with you sharing that, well, I'll come back to it. Anyways, Kaili.
Now, going scrappy is always fun. Starting fresh is always fun. And you'd be surprised and you probably are knowing this, whoever asked that, you probably are already seeing how resourceful you can be. But take the time to test things out, sure, but see what's actually working and then invest money into it. And you'll know, you'll be able to do research, you'll be recommended a bunch of things, but really it depends on your audience. It depends on your sales guys. Just take the time to be scrappy and see, okay, I want to do this. What can I do for a free trial and for how long? Okay, was that worth it? Yes, no, move forward.
And you got to have this, you got to have the stories as a startup. Hey, I remember when we had the 3x5 card. That's part of the badge of growing your company is I remember we were sitting on the floor with our crayons and our 3x5 cards. That's part of the process.
No, but
go for it.
By the way, that's true. I mean, that's so true. I was at a company called Fusion.io. I don't know if anyone knew it, but we were one of the first IPOs kind of in Silicon Slopes. And anyway, we did our QBR and we said, oh, we hit all these numbers. And I said, and that was without phones, right? I mean, really, we were just using cell phones. No one had phones. We were on cardboard boxes. It was awesome. Now I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to add something to this.
Any more questions out there? Just gonna wake Ryan back up with his response. All right, so we have hit all those major questions for them. Let's give some closing thoughts. We discussed a lot today. Summarize it down. Give me the Reader's Digest version. What would you say the major takeaway you got from tonight, or you would like somebody to leave with, Kurt?
Technology is great. We should be using it as a Band-Aid, right? Make sure you're selling the salespeople. You were talking about that this is your return on time. You're gonna make more money. It's gonna make a difference. And then not forget the human side that we're training on the sales skills and the mindset and kind of have a balance there. That's the key, is to have that balance with tech and humans and understanding your prospect and sell them how they want to be sold. And that might not be a software, it might just be, person to person, Zoom to Zoom, face to face.
Love it.
As a marketing person, if you were going to add a step to the sales team, remove 2. Just don't take what they're doing for granted. If you want more information from them, then find something you don't need information from them on. Like, try to make it a point to optimize that process, because you need to know if it's going to be worth the time and money for them, so you can get what you need. That's my main one. I said everything else.
I love it.
Yeah, those are 2 good ones. I'll leave you with one thought. I was sitting, it was probably 2 years ago. I was in my 75th QBR, right? So add that up. It's what, 18, 19 years. And I've tracked what people say when you ask the reason why you didn't hit your number, right? So ask a salesperson, so what happened last quarter? Tell us why you think you didn't hit your number.
Dog ate the homework was number 1.
And you'll hear a lot about price, but price you can rule out, because price is a function of value, and value is perception of the outcomes of a product or service, what they believe in you and what they believe in the company. Those are the 3 things that really affect the perception of value around price. So you can sort of rule that one out. So I took a spreadsheet and I said, okay, what are the common themes of why people miss their number? And it was 3 things. It was 3 things. It was 1, the product. The product actually wasn't where it needed to be. Truly, people wanted it. You had pipeline, you had everything else. You didn't have a great product. So I think in terms of tools, we gotta have better intelligence in every interaction on the marketing and tech journey, right? Or rather the customer buyer journey, around what does the product actually do? Does it actually solve their needs, what they're looking for? So 1 was product. The second one was productivity. Are the people good? And can they get better? So think of all the tech. Now, what I'm trying to do is say, think of your tech stack in these 3. And the third one was pipeline. What we figured out is that if people had one of those missing, they weren't hitting their number. If they had all 3, they were hitting their numbers, right? So you've got a good product. My people are productive. That's sales enablement. That's training. That's all the things that come with that. And you've got pipeline, because pipeline is just a factor. It's just a mathematical factor. We know we can close 35% of pipeline. If you give me pipeline, I can close it. But if you don't have pipeline, you really aren't closing, no matter how good your people are or how good the product is. So think of it like those 3. I'll leave you with one last analogy. Those 3 work together. I did some research when I was trying to present this to our company, and I thought, oh, what gets stronger as it works together? And I realized draft horses actually prove this very, very, analogy. So I'll leave you with this thought. 1 draft horse, right? Think Clydesdale, like, Budweiser, whatever, the draft horses. One of them can pull 8,000 pounds across the field. Jeez. So you would rationalize that 2 could pull 16,000 pounds. But the fact is 2 can pull 24,000 pounds. So I think of those 3 Ps like that. When they're working in tandem, everything rises. And I've put this in motion in a lot of our companies, and our growth goes up. It's product, it's productivity, it's pipeline. You get those 3 and growth will start to happen.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we had some amazing insights today. Hope you take one of these principles and apply it, and you can increase your sales, improve your sales stack. Please give it up again, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for our awesome panelists. And then, Kaili, if folks want to get a hold of you, what's the best place for them to go to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn.
I'm
on it way too much.
LinkedIn, exactly.
LinkedIn. And how about you, Kurt?
MaximizeYourInfluence.com.
Awesome. MaximizeYourInfluence.com, LinkedIn. You can find all this information on the website. Again, thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Drive, be safe. And as always, go out and do big things. See ya.
Thank you.
One of the things I was thinking is talking about data and watching your showing people, like sometimes